We can start with questions.
So Bryce, when you went back and looked at the film, what stood out to you the most?
Yeah, just better job of execution. That's something that Coach Canales talked about for everyone. And then obviously for me, looking in the mirror first, and we all have that mindset of want to be better. You look at plays that wish could execute it better, and it was you got to learn from it. And then now that was what Monday was about. And then now we've turned the page. We've turned into we're all in for the Chargers. It's lessons we addressed at the time, and now we're all about how well can we prepare for Sunday.
Bryce said because the game got away from them, the sort of game plan got away. And when that happens, how tough is it to kind of evaluate your play, knowing that maybe that's not exactly what you would scheme and what you would plan to do?
Yeah, it's tough for the overall flow of the game and the plan and everything, but for myself, and I definitely pride myself in trying to execute the best I can regardless of the situation. So that's definitely no excuse when you're watching the film and learning. So you just got to take it for what it is. And again, now we've turned the page, and now it's about the Chargers.
Bryce, there was a moment late in the game where Miles Sanders was on the sideline next to you and kind of dabbed you up and kind of gave you a little hug. Just talked to him about it. He says, I just want to keep his confidence up, let him know that I got his back, we got his back. What does that feel like to have teammates that are, have had your back and still have your back?
Yeah, I'm super grateful for that, for Miles, for all the guys. We all play for each other, and we all have each other's back. And just being a part of that environment, a part of that locker room, something that I'm super grateful for, super blessed to be in. So again, right now, it's on for the Chargers. So it's about doing all that we can throughout the week to put ourselves in the best situation.
Bryce, you more runs than normal, 4 scramble runs for positive yardage. Is that something that Dave has kind of told you to do? Hey, if you find open space, run with it?
Yeah, it's something that we talked about as far as just being able to take what the defense gives. And, at the end of the day, we want to have positive plays. We want to be efficient. We want to do what's best for the team. And, some of the stuff we've talked about, if the best option is running and going downfield, then, that's what it is. It's not about, I appreciate that from our coaching staff. It's not about the ego of it has to work out this way or it has to be, they just want what's best for a team. So, I'm going to continue to do all that I can to try to work to put ourselves in the best situation, and that'll be the mindset.
Bryce, when you look at this Chargers defense, obviously the guys that stick out, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and those guys, but besides them, what else do you see from that defense as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, those guys, obviously, get a lot of attention as they should. Great players. We have a ton of respect for them. But, overall as a defense, you could tell that they work really, really well together, communicate well. They know what they're doing, disciplined, make plays. So, we know it's going to be a challenge. We know that we have to do everything we can to execute. And put ourselves really throughout the week in the situation to execute. So a ton of respect for them, and then, we want to focus on us to be the best version we can be.
Bryce, when you were coming out, your processing skills were one of the traits that people really raved about. Do you feel like this offense gives you an opportunity to use those, whether it's, having the ability to call plays at the line or just overall just kind of doing that sort of thing audibly? Yeah,
definitely. It's, again, another thing I appreciate about the coaching staff. They want to win games, want to be efficient, and offensively just want to execute. And they don't care how it gets done. They give me the freedom to do as I see fit. And for me, with that respect, it's not just going rogue and doing whatever. It's having conversations throughout the week and, hey, I saw this. Communicating about whatever it may be, and them doing the same with me. So I appreciate that, and I think the system is, for me, it's a great system to be a part of. So I'm grateful for it.
Bryce, how have the conversations with you and Canales kind of evolved, from when he got here to now?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're first getting to know a coach or anyone, it's just building rapport and then figuring out each other's styles and figuring out things that passionate about and figuring out stars, all that stuff is kind of just a learning process of player to coach. And now I think we've kind of gotten through that, know each other better, understand a little bit more about what makes each other tick, how we see things. So I think it's just being able to get past that, and then now we're being able to have next level conversations and higher stuff now that we've gone over the basics, from when we first started being here. So it's been great to be able to learn from him, for us to grow together, and we want to keep building in the right direction.
When do you most often have those kind of next level conversations, like you say?
Yeah, a lot of it's in the meeting room. Grateful for Coach Canales being in the QB room. A lot of the times, obviously, head coach, so has to bounce around and do a lot of things, but spend a lot of time in the meeting room, from watching film and, hey, I went here because of this, or I saw this, and him, we put it in because of this, and this is something that's happened. Being able to have those conversations, also on the field and in front of the team, that you get stuff from that as well, but just being able to have those conversations in the meeting room is definitely invaluable time.
One of the things he said was a positive on Sunday was the communication. And my understanding was relaying the plays and things like that. What is he like on the headset? How was that communication?
Yeah, he's a clear communicator, very calm, level-headed. From play one to the last play sounded the same in the headset, which as a quarterback is something that's super, super helpful. And for me, I think things went well, but there's still things I can get better at, just having a smoother operation. So that stuff, while being in the system, I want to continue to grow at, stuff for me to get better at as well. So it's great having him communicate. How he talks over the headset it's all been smooth. So just going to continue to build that.
Bryce, given the way last year went and the start of this year, 47-10, is it hard to stay confident, or how do you stay confident that things are going to turn around?
Yeah, honestly, personally, I draw my faith from God. So, I trust in Him through everything. I know everything happens for a reason, and everything is going to happen how He wants it to. So I draw my faith from Him, and I also draw my faith from my teammates. We come in every single day and want to be better and work, and we're able to lean on each other, and we all want the same things. I'm super grateful for my teammates and coaching staff, and just when you're in around a group of people that want it and are willing to work for it. The outside world is outside world, but for us, I'm grateful to be in this environment, and being able to lean on my brothers, us to lean on each other within the building is something that we really depend on.
Was there anybody outside this world in here that may have called you Sunday, Monday to help put things in perspective for you and make it easier to handle?
I'm grateful I have a great support system around me of people that I know that have just talked to me and reached out, not just this weekend, but really throughout my entire journey, ups and downs. And I'm super grateful for the people around me. That's a blessing for sure. And again, for us, just between the lines, coach says all the time, it's about us, of just how we carry ourselves through ups and downs, how we handle that. And I always turn to my teammates, turn to my coaches, and they're the people that kind of, for all of us, ups and downs, we get through it together.
And how about Deontay? I mean, he's a guy you had such great chemistry with during the preseason, but during the game, it just seemed to not be there. What did he have to say to you? What happened during the game that wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm grateful that we came back today and Monday watching the film, and it's the same attitude, it's the same approach of it wasn't our best day on Sunday. Missed on some stuff, didn't get have the day we wanted, and in the same way, when that happened in a training camp practice, we go back and talk about it and figure it out and make sure we get on the same page, and then go out today. Did a great job of running routes hard and working hard, and us having conversations just like the rest of receiving corps did, rest of the team did. It was one day. Again, it sucks. We're all competitors. We want to win. Now it's on to being the best we can for the Chargers, and that's really just been what the mindset's been.
Will it be an emphasis for you to get Deontay more involved?
For me, the emphasis is just to be as efficient as we can. I trust the coaching staff and the plans of things, and I want to do what gives us the best chance to win. And you got to evaluate that play by play. That's really my approach. I have a tremendous amount of confidence in Deontay. I know the player he is. He's shown it time and time again throughout camp, throughout OTAs, throughout everything in his approach. So again, I have all the confidence in the world in him. And for us, it's just how efficient can we be?
How much of last week's struggles offensively would you attribute to first game in a new system?
I think that for me, that's not really how I choose to look at things. I think we all have circumstances. Everyone, whether it's system or players or whatever, if you choose to look at that, I think you can make excuses for almost anything. So for me, I want to be the best that I can every single day. And again, we looked at the film on Monday, grabbed stuff that we talked about, and then now we've turned the page. It's on to the Chargers. So regardless of the situation, it's NFL. Everyone has something to deal with. So right now, really, it's just about how good we can be on Sunday and earning the right to do that throughout the week of practice.
Bryce, Dave is so optimistic, so positive. How does that land after a game like Sunday where things seem so?
Yeah, it's super necessary and good for us. Just for him being the coach of the team, just someone, he's been very consistent, steady throughout his entire time here. And obviously tough day on Sunday for him to be the same way. I think it just brings us back to earth. Back in the locker room, and then back Monday, and definitely now, just knowing that Again, there's stuff that we clean up and we get better at, just like we would have if it was a good game or a bad game. And then, what can we do today to get better? And, that being his message and him being consistent in it is something that I think is great for us as a team.
Anything he said to you that stands out?
He was just very adamant of, we still have to, define who we are. We still have, we still are in the process of doing that. And, we have to earn that throughout practice, earn that throughout how we play. But, again, one game, you learn from it, but we're still defining, who we are.
Bryce, how tough is it to lose a guy like Derek Brown? He's not just a great presence on the defense, but also a veteran leader in the locker room. It's extremely hard. My heart goes out to him. That's you hate to see it. It's such a tough part of the game. Like you said, not just an amazing player, but means so much to us as a team. As a leader, and just what he brings. It's not something you can replace at all. So definitely praying for him and his health. And yeah, it's just it's tough.
Bryce, as frustrating as it was to not be able to execute some of those plays, what did you like about some of the things that Canales has in his offense that were called, and about kind of his play calling?
For sure, yeah. I think that just being the first time for me being in a full game. Like you said, we weren't able to stick to the plan as we had wanted to, but still there are a lot of, really creative calls, a lot of, good schemes I have a ton of confidence in, and just being able to get them off in a game setting was something that was good for me, good as a learning experience. So have all the trust in the world in Coach Canales and the system and the staff. And it was good to get that first taste, and then, obviously you want to build off and move forward.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.